Here we go with the life of Horace, according to Suetonius. Quintus Horatius Flaccus, the fellow's name, Venusianus, from Venus, no, a Venusian. Patre in the ablative, ut ipsi tradet, as he himself hands it down to us in his tradition, that his patre was a libertino, so his father's a freedman, and an exactionum, which is a genitive plural, a coactor, so a patre, coactor, libertino. So his father was a freedman who was a collector, who made extractions of things. This can come from lawsuits and taxes and things, but we hear is from public auctions is what the further information tells us. Ut vero creditum est, but as is believed, ut is as, a salsamentario. This is something to do with salt, a salt seller or salt dealer. Cum ille, when illi, to him who would be Quintus, acquidem, a certain person, in an altercation or a dispute, ex probus, this is a reproach, quotiens, whenever or however often or how many times, ego vidi. Many times did I see, patrem tuum, your father, brachio, say, e mangentem. This is present participle for blowing your nose, or if you read plaudus, you know it means cheating someone. But here he is blowing his nose with his brachio, so with his arm, with his limb, blows his own nose onto his arm. Yeah. Bello Philippensi, we see the N there, which you see lots of time when they make adjectives out of it. So this is in the war of the at Philippi. Excitus, this would be a past passive. So he's excited, spurred on by Marcus Bruto Imperator. So the general or the leader here was Marcus Brutus. So he'd served under him. Tribunus militum, so it's the tribune of the soldiers, Merowitt. So he earned a living or earned this position and served in this role. Victus qui partibus, and with his party de victus, beaten, so his side was beaten in the war. Venia impetrata, this is an ablative slab. Impetrata means you've asked for something and obtained it, so he obtained a pardon, a venia. Scriptum quaesorium comparavit, so he procured this position of a scriptum, which is a scribe or a clerk, of a quaestor, which is you can look up that position. Ac primo, and in the first place, machinatae and mox augusto insinuatus. So he insinuated himself to, what's this guy in English? Maecanes, and mox soon to Augustus, that'd be dative. A non-mediocre in emborum medica locum, so a not mediocre locum, so not middling of a place, so it wasn't too bad. Attenuate, so he held a mediocre place in amitica, which is an ablative split with a genitive. So he held a friendship of both of them. He held a place of friendship with both of them, and it was non-mediocre. Machinas, that's how we say it in English. Quanto per, it's like magno per, it's an adverb. So how greatly Machineus delixerated in eum, how much he delighted in him, is testator, is testified satisfactorily. So how great he liked him was testified or evident, illo epigram, mate, in this epigram. So ni means unless or except, that's the same as nisi. Except that te, you, visceribus meus, which is my entrails, Horatius, this is the vocative. So unless you, Horace, plus yam diligo, I love or delight in more now than, this is a comparative, this is what this ablative is about, more than my own entrails, maybe it's meaning his heart or his organs, anyway. So except that Horace, I love you now more than my own parts of my body parts, to you, and then we have tuum sodalum, which is your companion, ninio, this is manuscripts differ whether that's a proper noun or not. Videos, this is a subjunctive. So you may see, videos, you may see your companion, Stugiosior, this is a comparative in the accusative sense. So, which means lean usually, or scragglier. And if this Ninio is a rag doll, as some people say, then that's what that means. Said, but, multo, by much, Margus extremis judicis, is expletive, much more extreme in the judgment, tali, of such, ad Augustum, to Augustus, elogio. This comes from elogium, which is a short saying. It can be in his will. It's one of the definitions of it. He said, of Horatius Flaccus, Horatio Flaccus, ut, as of me, esto, future imperative, so, which means be, memo, mindful of Horatius Flaccus as of myself. So that's what he said, if this is much more extreme, to Augustus himself, in his own will. Okay, so I've set up a daily dictionary here. The word is eulogium, neuter, short saying or sentence, a short maxim, inscription on a tombstone, clause in a will. Judicially, it's an extract or summary, and I did a little strigiosis here for the comparative, which is lean or scraggly as well. But eulogium's today's word. Augustus, simple nominative. Of epistolarum, something to do with letters. Quoque also, ei to him. Obtulit, this comes from offero otuli oblatus, so he offered him the officium, this is a position of another scribe or something to do with letters. Ut as hoc, this to Mercantinum, this is signified, significat, in a scripto, in writing, hoc, this is to Messanitem. Who is Massanitai or Machanitas is his nominative. So it looks like Augustus wrote a letter. Ante, before, ipsi, myself, I was sufficibam, scribendus epistulus. We have a gerundive taking the epistle. So in the writing of letters, I'm a quorum of friends, I was sufficient ipsi myself. And nunc now, occupatissimus, very occupied, so he's busy, and infirmus, which means weak or has a malady. Horatium nostrum, our Horace, Cupio, I desire to abdicate him ate from you. I now need to take him away from you. Veniet, he shall come, ergo therefore, or then, ab ista parasitica mensa, from this parasitic table, ad hanc regium, to this court or this palace, et nos and us, in epistulis scribendus, in the writing of letters, juvabit, future, he will help us in writing letters. Ac ne recusanti quidem, so we have ne quidem, so, and not even to him recusing himself or refusing, either, ought, was Augustus Sacensivit, which is an alternative spelling, that S is sometimes a C, was he burning or inflamed, quicquan and anything, or amidicem suum ingere desist. So he wasn't burning with anger, and he didn't desist from ingere, carrying on their suum amidicem, their friendship. Extant, there exists, epistulae, letters, equibus, from which, argumenta gratia, gratia is for the sake of, it's a post position, behind the genitive, for the sake of arguments, or for some proof, subjecte, I shall throw in, porca, a few words, or a little extract. Sum, imperative, take up, tibi, for yourself, aliquid, something, Eurus apud me, at my house, as if by right, or something you're allowed to, tam quam si, just as if a convictor, this is a table guest or a housemate, mihi furis, as if you were a housemate to me. So, basically, you can do anything you want, just as if you live here. Anim, 4, recte, rightly, and non temere can mean hardly ever, or fecaris, for she'll make everything right and well behaved, I suppose, or everything's just. Quoniam sense, id, neuter, this, usus. Mihi ticum esse voli. Voli means I wanted. Looks like I wanted to have a friendship with you. Usus can mean use or friendship. So I wanted there to be a friendship with me and ticum with you. See if through your valetudinem, through your health, possit, it had been able, fieri, to have happened. Per valetudinem is the accusative with per. So this was in the letters, and for the sake of argument's sake or for proof, he threw in a few words. Take up anything you want at my house, just as if you live there, for it's rightly and it's not done in a crazy manner, since I'd wanted to maintain a friendship with you if your health had been able to allow it. And we'll scroll, it looks about that far. Et versus, and again, another extract, it's in the quote marks. Tui, of you, qualam, how much? Habeam, memoriam. So, how much of memory of you, Potterus, you are able from Septimo quoque nostro. Nostro means ours, usually our friend. From our friend Septimus, also you are Potterus. You are able, infinitive, to hear. So how much memory I have of you? You are also able to hear from our friend Septimus. Nam, for incident. For there was an incident that happened. Ut that illo coram means face to face. Fear it had happened. Mentio. For there was a mention, a me, from me, to of you, illo, to him, face to face. So that happened that he made mention of him to this other guy. Nequi enim, for neither, see if, to superbus. If you were proud or arrogant, sprevisti, if that's the perfect, you have spurned nostram amicam, our friendship, idio. For this reason, nos, we, quoque, we also, anthropo, whatever the hell that is, which I understand was actually Greek, which means, for if in your proudness you had spurned our friendship, I would not have spurned you. Praeteria, and besides, sapi often, eum him, inter alio iocus, amongst other jokes, something to do with him, a purissimus, the most pure panem, which means tail or penis, and homuncionem lepidus, the most pleasant, it's a superlative, little man. Homunculus is, I think, is well. So these are the jokes he was telling, and a palate. That's what he called him. So this would be what Augustus is calling Horace. Una qui and alter, so one and another. We've got an ablative. Locul obverit. So he enriched him. Locupello of it means he made him rich by one and another ablative liberality or act of being generous. Scripta, something's written. Quidem, indeed or even eos. So his scriptem, even his writings, udio as adio usually means to such an extent, as far as to such an extent provavit. He approved of it. Mensuraque perpetua opinionatus est. So he was of the opinionatus est, that they would remain mensura perpetuo. Perpetually that they would remain. They would remain forever. Qui is just the enclitic. Ut non modo, so that not only secular carmen componendum juxerit, so he joined him, that's probably pretty much a loose translation of that, for the placing, for the writing of a carmen, which is a song or a poem. So basically, he was given some role to perform the writing of this song, seculare. What's that mean in English? I don't know. Don't really care. But also, Victoriam Vindilicam. This is a victory over some people here with that proper noun. And Tiberian Drusus qui privignorum sorum. These are his stepsons, Tiberius and Drusus. Eum cogerit. So he forced him, and he cogerated eum him, on account of hoc tribus Carmenium libris. On account of these three books, ex interval longo, from after a long interval, adore quorum. So, on account of his 3 books with the Carminians, he forced him, he was co-guretting him, to write a 4th. And that had something to do with okay, so Tiberius and Drusus were the ones that did the victory over. And these people were called the what do you call them? Vindelici. Okay, that'll do for the day.